hire the people that you like and that you trust and that can do a good job. Because if you like them and trust them and they can do a good job, your franchisees are going to love them too.
Welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Each episode takes a deep dive into the franchise space and explores how the biggest and best brands handle national branding, franchise development, employee recruitment, and localized marketing on a daily basis. This podcast is brought to you by Netsertive, a localized digital marketing partner for franchise networks. Netsertive's Madeline Park talks shop with franchise executives to discuss what's working, what's not, and answers the question, what else can you be doing to excel at the art of franchise marketing?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Art of Franchise Marketing. I'm super excited today. We've got Charles Bonfiglio, the CEO of Tint. I'm sure you've heard of them. I'm sure you've seen them around, but we're gonna, get into this industry, which we haven't yet talked about really. So Charles, thank you for being on. And why don't you give us a little peek into your background and how you got into franchising?
Well, I got into franchising just by mishap. I was 21 years old and I wanted to get into the automotive aftermarket. I was more interested in getting into car stereos and alarms and car accessories. But so I told my parents, they had a business in New York and I worked for them. And I said, I really want to, do something with automotive. I want to do it in Florida. They said, why Florida? I said, well, I want the palm trees and the convertibles and work on cars. Why wouldn't you want Florida? So my dad said, that's what you want. And I saved up some money. So I took a one-way airplane ticket down to Florida with 2 suitcases and went to set up. And I realized real quick that at 21 years old, the banks don't want to lend to you. The landlords don't want to lease to you. And people don't know who you are. So they don't think that you're going to do it. And then I found franchising. Now, there wasn't any franchising in the area that I wanted, but the closest thing was I found another franchise that was in the automotive maintenance space. And I started with that, and I started my first one, and that's how I got into franchising.
That's awesome. I love it. Is so ballsy, I think, to buy a one-way ticket and just be like, I'm going for it. Also, I don't know how you fit all your belongings into 2 suitcases.
I
Props.
sold everything. My parents did well, and I lived in the basement, to my teenage years, and I had to go out and do something of my own. My father was in the clothing factory. I learned everything that he had to offer to me, but I really wanted something different. And so I worked as a teenager and I saved up enough money. I had a Corvette. I sold my Corvette. That was money. I saved up the money that I had. So I went down at that time with about $30,000, which I needed about 80 to start the business that my plan was for. And so once I had a cousin that contacted me and said, hey, we just did this franchise in New Jersey. I said, franchise, what's that? I said, well, they help you get financing, they help you get the location, the lease, they give you a blueprint so you can run with it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Again, they didn't have what I wanted, but that was what was the closest to it. And that was it. I was all in. I started it. And next thing you know, I have a lease and I have funding and I have training and I'm off to the races with my first franchise.
That's awesome. And I know it sounds like even though you kind of fell into franchising, you were always kind of the perfect franchisee to start. You had the hustle, you had the entrepreneurial spirit. So it doesn't surprise me that that's kind of where you ended up. So now we're with Tint World. Tell us about the brand. How did you go from franchisee to franchisor? And what are the growth goals for Tint World moving forward?
Well, sure. There's a lot of gap in there because I did franchising from one store. Eventually, I built up to 10 stores over the years. And about halfway through, when I was about 4 or 5, I started buying the real estate, learning how to buy the real estate, build the building, and own the real estate. And that really gave me a leg up. So as I continued to build my businesses, I was able to not only sell some of the businesses and really cash out, but I was able to also later on sell some of the businesses that I still own the property on that was then paid off. And so I did really well, not only for getting the payoff of selling the business, but now I'm still collecting rent out of locations that are paid off from when I was a franchisee in those locations. And so I really got to be a point where in the early 2000s, when I decided I didn't want to open up any more franchises, I was really doing well. I had multiple revenue streams coming in from franchises as well as the properties and other investments I made. But I wanted to do something that was meaningful to me because I had that time that experience. And now what am I going to do? And so I went back to what I originally came down here for. There was no other brand out there that was doing what I wanted to do. And I said, why don't I create it? So that's when I didn't want to start off with one store. I mean, I figured, okay, let me just buy a chain of stores and convert it. And I found Tint World was a company that started in 1982. It was started on a shoestring, but it was a way to help consumers go to a really quality place to get their windows tinted and do some other services while they were there. And it really caught on. It did really well. And I actually, when I moved down, started bringing my car there. And I thought, wow, this is kind of like a franchise. It's really cool. He built it to 6 locations. So in 2006, when I wanted to do something new, I went out and I approached the guy who owned them. And I said, hey, would you be willing to sell these locations? I think they could do better. And I really want to buy them. So we went out, we made a deal. I bought the business model, the name, the brand. And from that point, we trademarked the world with it. And I wrote the franchise system, and I took those 6 stores and converted them to a franchise system. It took me about a year to build the whole thing. And then we launched, and I wanted to go slow, but all the knowledge that I had in the automotive aftermarket repair and maintenance business, I parlayed and brought it into this business, which is a bunch of automotive aftermarket accessories that is very fragmented, and there's really no brand of it. So I had to create something new, and I really enjoyed loving doing it and helping other people that are inspired by it.
I think that's incredible. And it's rare to see a franchisee go to franchisor level. And I mean, not just like, oh, now I'm working for the home office, but I'm going to go, convert a brand or build a brand from the ground up. So I think that that's incredible. Also, I need you to manage all of my negotiating moving forward, because it sounds like you're just like, hey, here's the plan. I'm going to buy this brand. I'm going to build out an entire franchise system. That's incredible. And I think that goes to a lot of people ask me, oh, I'm nervous in franchise. I don't know how to start. I don't know how to build a business. The key is to take the first step. I'm sure you didn't go into you didn't fly down with the one-way ticket thinking, oh, one day I'm going to be writing an FDD. So, you figure it out along the way. And that's really great. So how many locations do you guys have now?
We have just over 100 locations open and just over 100 locations sold that are in development. Of those 100 that are sold in development, there's probably around 60 plus stores that are in development, because I have a lot of franchises that buy multiple locations. So when they get that one open, they're on to the next one.
Sure.
So that's where the 100 comes from. And so we're awarding somewhere between 50 and 70 licenses a year between last year and the way we're trending this year in 2022.
That's incredible. And what are the growth goals here for Tint World? Is your idea to become kind of the household name for the aftermarket all in one for like the US, or you're going to go global? What's your goals there?
So right now we're already in 4 different countries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're in the United States and Canada. Canada, we have about a dozen stores or more and growing. The United States, like I said, we have nearly 100 in the United States, and combined with Canada, it's over 100 and growing. And then we sold a Saudi Arabia master license. So we have a guy out there who's been there for about 5 years, just now starting to get his way to opening more locations. And we sold the UAE in Dubai, where we have a location. That was really a fun trip to go there and help set up their stores. And so, but our brand really adapted well to these other countries. I mean, what we do is really fun. So, but what I want to do, where are we going? So my goal is to have 300 locations in the US open by 2025. We'll have a number of more after that. I think I have already scouted out about 650 locations every area. We have a data platform that tells us where the best areas to look for them. So we have that already on our radar. So 300 by 2025 should be open and operating, with another 300 by then. We'll be on the books for developing and as quick as we can get them going, because it's a brick and mortar store. It does take time with real estate and build out. I'm very impatient, but we have to do it right. And so that's kind of what we're doing there. Now in Tint World, we also have 4 different categories of services. So we've been really, streamlining 80% of our business in the automotive space. And we have like 20 categories of services that we offer on these vehicles and aftermarket, all niche, all big growing industries in a unique model that we have. But we also do residential, commercial, and marine services, very similar to what we do in the cars. So on your home, if you want your windows tinted, if you want security film or designer films to make it look good. We do that as well as on your office and your building. You want, privacy film. You want security film. That's a big thing that's going around now. And then on a boat, we do everything we do on a car, less the wheels. We have graphics, lighting, audio, video systems. We do security systems, ceramic coating, every kind of service you would think we do on a car, we'll do on a boat. And so that's areas that we're growing in, but we haven't fully leveraged the mobile unit aspect yet. Right now, I'm working on really developing the home services portion of our business, and I think we're going to be adding a lot more onto that in the near future.
I think that's incredible, and especially speaks to I've talked to a bunch of brands that their franchisees are constantly asking, "Hey, we want another revenue stream, we want another offering," and brands get nervous to go outside of what they perceive to be their brand promise or their primary focus. And I think you guys are a great example of not getting stuck in your bubble where you're Tint World, you're doing automotive, but hey, this also can be applied to homes and cars. And that doesn't change our brand promise, doesn't change who we are. If anything, it just opens up the availability for growth.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think anyone listening is going, how in the F is he getting so many qualified franchisees and the ability to open at scale? So can you speak to that? How are you guys finding, and you don't have to give us the keys to success, but or your trade secrets, but what is your strategy like when you're doing your franchise development? Because to be opening at that level is pretty incredible. And I know that's a goal of a lot of brands out there.
Everybody sees what's happening today. They just don't realize what I did for the last 12 years to get here.
Ah,
I methodically only opened between 5, 10, or 15 stores a year for the early years. I wanted the system right. I
mhm,
didn't want any aggravation with people having a tough time because our systems or support wasn't fully engaged properly. Some people grow too fast. Me, it was more about the system, and I focused on that for the first 10 years.
mhm,
By the time we got to around 2019, I was like, this is not going to get any much better than it is right now. Could always be improved, but our system is solid. Our franchise is successful. They're not having anybody fail. They're looking to buy more locations. And I felt like it was optimized. I mean, and just kept getting better as I hired more staff in our corporate team. And they all have the right heart and desire to help franchisees. That was really important. Now that I had that, I thought about, okay, well, now to open up 50, what do I need to do? And
mhm,
I had to restructure my mindset to not only focus on the systems and the day to day, how to put people in place to operate those, which I did. And I really focused on optimizing our sales platform for how do we sell franchises? How do we let people know who we are, what we do, and how do I get as many people in? And what things do I need to put in place at that point to be able to make sure that I can just, facilitate the growth? So we, really partnered up with a really good real estate team that's really doing a good job for us. We have the build out team that does all the building and construction. We hired internally a specific person that just really manages all the people that are through the process, their point person. And we hired 2 more sales dev people that'll really help the workload of all the people that we coming in. And I really wanted to shorten the process. Okay, what does a franchise prospect really want to know?
mhm.
Okay, and all those things we condense into a 6-week program. So
Wow.
we're very clear. Used to be 6 to 9 months to award a franchise from the first time they contact average.
Yeah.
Now it's 4 to 6 weeks from the time they contact us from the first time. We let them know right up front. We clear that first message out is that what do you have? What do you want? Where do you want to go? And what do you want to get? And once we understand that, we basically tell them to be able to achieve understanding who we are and what we do and how do we get there to make a decision if this is right for you. It's about 4 to 6 weeks if you really work with us on a weekly basis. Once we get to that point, you can come and meet the team. And then
Mhm.
after that, it should be the only thing left is, do you really like us? Are we really for you?
Sure.
But all the other stuff is going to be answered along that way. We're very transparent. And so is our FDD. We really focused on putting everything in there that we want to know. What does a franchise want to know? Including item 19 with all our financials of all the locations, specifically our locations, not in groups, but every one of them, and their EBITDA, how much they're making in profit a year in year 1, 2, and beyond. So by doing all that, it really lets them know, okay, where the money is, how do I make it, how much is I'm going to keep, not just the sales, and then what's the process to get there? And then from that, once they understand all those questions are answered about our model and our system and the lifestyle that they can have coming into our brand, then it's like, okay, verify it. So we have a validation program where they can validate. We have weekly meetings with different franchisees on our virtual franchise validation days. And
Mhm.
so we might have, 15, 20 franchise prospects on a video talking to them. And you can't do a good job with validation if you don't have good validation. So the hardest thing is to build a program that you have franchisees who love the system, love what they do, and are growing and doing very well. And another thing is, I think it's really cool to say that we're all diversely on different ways. They're all different people from different walks of life, and they all talk the same tune in most ways about the brand in their own way. So that really appeals to a lot of people because they don't just want a cookie cut. They want to know that I got a personality. I want to be able to follow it. Is it different in my area than yours? And I'm a little different than you. So how do I do it? And when they see all that, they realize there's a place for them. Whoever they are, there's a place in our system. If you get it, want it, and have the capability of operating, there's a place for you.
That's amazing. I feel like that was a masterclass. We could just end the podcast here if we wanted, but I won't be shocked if you get a lot of job offers after this podcast of, please, I will pay you whatever, just come in and fix my franchise sales. But, to boil it down, it really is about fine tuning your operations, putting people in place to scale, because too many times I see emerging brands, oh, we just opened our 200th location and we've been in business for 4 months. I'm like, ooh, that's gonna be a little tricky. So, just making sure that you to your point, they want, the growth they see now, but they haven't put in the 12 years that it took to get here. And I think that that is the most important thing in franchising. It definitely is a slower roll to success, and it's an example of scaling to grow instead of just growing to grow. So, side question, when you're building out real estate, I know with some automotive brands, they have to get certain licensing because it's loud and people don't want automotive shops near them. Is that the same with you guys? You have to get special permits, or is it different because it's more aftercare, aftermarket?
We're able to get away without having to go to the detail level of automotive. However, by being in an automotive industry that we do cars inside a building, it takes us a really good, strong PowerPoint and presentation to let the people at the cities know right up front, what is it that we do that's different?
Yeah.
That we're not selling grease and oil. We're not focusing on cars that are engines outside, and we're not very loud. I mean, we basically apply film and equipment to vehicles in a very quick way, very profitable, very quick, very unique. And it's a unique skill set of an industry that we're in. Automotive repair and aftermarket industry is very standardized. Automotive aftermarket accessory industry with all those niches within it are very unique. So I pulled that all together in our system to allow it to run in a really good way. But it's not really, it's almost like appealing to have our business. It's no different if you went to a Kinko's. It's like, people, technology inside, working with customers, except you have a bay in the back that you got to apply some things on the vehicle.
Yeah.
And they're pretty quick things. There's no problem issues. We stock mostly everything that we sell and install, which is a low inventory. And whatever we don't have, if it's a special order, a piece of equipment, we have electronic ordering system that we order it today, it comes in tomorrow. Over 1 million products. Order it today, it's in tomorrow to our stores. So it's really convenient for consumers to be able to get whatever they want. The core main services that we do, and then all the wide variety of aftermarket accessories that we do as well.
That's great. I love that. And my next question is, has real estate been tricky for you guys? Because I know a lot of brick and mortar in the last couple of years with COVID and inflation, they've had to halt a lot of their growth because the real estate has been hard to come by.
It has. I would think that it wasn't going to be, because when I started this franchise in 2007, in the year after I started, there was a 2008 crisis where and at that point it was really good. Not really good, but it was really good for me and the brand, because as I was growing, all the lease properties were available. The lease prices went down really low. The landlords would do almost anything to get a business in there and help us. So I grew in a really down market, and people are exiting the corporate world. So they were coming and buying my franchise as well as others. And the real estate was really good. And the development was quick. People that wanted to do work for you, they went. Now, conversely, when after after this year happened in 2020 with the pandemic, I would have thought, I geared up for it. I love when bad things happen, good things can happen even faster. So I know that from my life of experience. And I really came into this thing, said, okay, how do we got to set up to make the franchisee safe, my team in the office safe, and understanding what our goals are and how we can really boomerang this thing really fast around the corner, because it's always going to be around the corner. It's just a matter of when. Is it 3 months, 9 months, 2 years? But either way, I'm prepared, and we're going to grind when most people can't. Now, we were very lucky in our industry that we were deemed an essential business. That allowed us to continue to work, continue to stay open, and help the communities that we serve. And it also allowed us to really gain some leverage on growth. And we did. During the pandemic, we grew 30%. I had more franchisees that year wanting to buy additional stores than I've ever had before, because they were doing really well and our head was right. Some people were probably maybe lackadaisical, taking their time off. And at that point, what are you going to do? Stay home? So they started to focus on their business. We started to focus on a lot of communication with them and sharing stories of all the franchisees' growth. That made them grow that much faster. And that's when during 2020, we were just getting our understanding of how to really grow this faster. And we awarded 21 licenses that year and opened up a bunch of licenses of stores that are pre-sold that year that were in development. But we really didn't get to working on the real estate till about September of 2020, when things started opening back up. And we realized, wow, this stuff went more money. It's quick. The price is raised. The landlords didn't want to do as much build out. All these issues were arising that we saw. So it slowed us down, but made us sharpen our pencil. And how do we do these things better? Who do we have to put in place even more so to manage these? And then, so we did that. So it gave us a 6 to 9 month slowdown during 2020. But then we came into it in 2021 and started opening up all the stores and learning how to adapt to what was going on in the marketplace. So yes, and there's limited amount of space. We learned something as well, that we were only looking for like automotive type spaces. And those are really rare to come by. They were deemed essential as well. So they weren't going out. They weren't really selling well. And so to try to find those, so we started to learn how to retrofit certain other buildings that were in really great locations, maybe in an end cap of a strip mall or in like a B-class level storage area, but it was like sort of retail. By doing that, we adapted, and that's where we started to really hone in on our business model and what type of city approvals we needed which were less than what you would need for an auto repair shop. And so we adjusted that, and we really told a good story. So we went into the cities, they can see what they were going to get in their community. And it's a really flashy, nice looking, appearing presence. The building, we built a whole new brand guide for it. And that allowed us to continue to grow. It's still slow on the construction and finding locations. It's tough, but we're now becoming a really strong brand. And so they want us more than they want other brands, which is now starting to speed up that process a little bit.
That's great. And what an incredible advice to give on this podcast about, instead of, I just had to slow my growth and I'm just waiting for it to be better. I'm waiting for it to come back, instead of, to your point, sharpening your pencil and saying, okay, well, how do we fix it? What I always tell my kids is solve the problem. So instead of just waiting for the problem to solve itself, really getting out there and pushing the brand forward. So I'm basically sold on Tint World. I'm about to open one. Now I know why your sales process is so quick. You guys have figured your shit out. But tell me, what are some obstacles you face now while trying to market in your industry? I guess more we can speak to the consumer level. They go in, maybe they're a new brand. What are some of the things you have to coach your franchisees through?
Well, again, I have so much experience in the automotive world, and coming into this new industry of automotive aftermarket accessorizing, and its safety, its security, its convenience, its personalization. These pieces that we have that we're working on our market, it's like a whole new industry. So, the average person, unless you're an 18-year-old, guy or girl and have a car and you want to customize it out, that's what pretty much the industry of the segments has been catering to. To me, it's a whole family business. So whether you're 18 to 85, it doesn't really matter if you have a vehicle. There are some convenience things that you want, especially that we do electronics. It's not really big in the industry. So whether it's backup cameras, security systems, whether it's, we do fleet accounts where we do the lighting on the trucks, and, we do shelving and equipment in the mobile vehicles, any types of these things that are in mobile, they're not really repair or maintenance items. They are upfitting these types of vehicles with certain services that they typically would be a very unique thing to get. So to basically get the consumer to understand that and make it a family business was really important, to get the brand right, the showroom right. Our displays are all interactive, so they clearly explain what we do and what we sell, what benefits that they will get. It lets them know about that we're not going to be avoiding any warranties with the manufacturer, and that we are one of the rare people that are approved from most of these manufacturers of products, as well as installation, not just to sell them, but to install them. And a lot of times you go buy these things, wherever you buy them online, you don't know who's going to be able to do them for you. So by having a one-stop shop that we can do everything on this aftermarket allows consumers to know who we are, what we do, and that we are here. We have direct links with the manufacturer, distributors, and to make sure that we're going to do exactly what's right for them. But most importantly, we're dealing with the soccer mom, the 18-year-old young guy that got his first car, the 15-year-old or 16-year-old girl in some states that got the first car, and the parents wants a tracking device to make sure she's safe. Or, you got the guy with the Ferrari that wants to come in and get, vehicle wrap on it, protective films and ceramic coating, and, any kind of upgrades that makes them feel comfortable. Custom wheels and tire packages, which is the biggest impact you can do to any vehicle when you're doing accessories. So these are all the things that our consumers want. So it's a wide array, but when they come in, they can feel it's a family environment. A lot of our franchises have family work in there, whether it's their sons, daughters that work, some are like the back, but we're not a franchise that's really own a job. We're like, you build your team and your team builds your business, and it gives everybody room for growth. It allows our franchisees to grow multiple units and not have to be there. We have a very automated system, from our technology on point of sale to our lead management to our accounting sources, all, like really they have one person to call, they do all their accounting for them. I don't want my franchisees to be bogged down with these complicated issues with marketing and with, trying to figure out accounting properly. So everything is benchmarked from standard chart of accounts and a standard program. So when they come in, we can help them, and they'll listen to the franchisor to a lot of degree. But there's also, to me, when I was a franchisee, is how do you learn from one another? If you're in a fun business that you all care about, you're going to have a lot of other franchises that are going to cross-pollinate how you can grow quicker, because seeing is believing, and you want to benchmark yourself against your peers.
And I think that there's a key piece in there that you said as well about being the family business, and not only just creating the culture in your franchise system, but changing the culture of your industry as well. Because I have been, for lack of better, terms, that, cute little girl that walks into an automotive shop, not knowing what I want, not knowing how much things cost, and being just absolutely duped multiple times by franchises, home office people, or home, mom and pop shops. And it's the reason why I ended up going to dealerships is because I felt, okay, it's very clear what they're doing. I know what's going to happen. I feel kind of safe here. And that seems like what you're creating with Tint World, or what you have created. It's a safe environment. It's not going to be, you have to go to the dealership and do all this expensive stuff. Next thing you know, you walk out with a new car. It's really made for your community and just bettering people's lives, and to your point, what they feel comfortable with. And I think that is an incredible thing, because a lot of people, you think, myself in the home cleaning or the maid service, yourself in Tint World, they think that's not the sexiest business. What can an automotive, franchise really do? Is it really going to change people's lives? And the truth is, it doesn't matter the brand, or I shouldn't say the brand. It doesn't matter what service you choose. You always have an opportunity to really make an impact in your community and people's lives. And I think that is, very admirable. And also hearing, you're putting processes behind creating that culture, which is how it works. It's not just, hey, we're going to bring donuts in and everyone's going to be happy. There are procedures and and systems in place or that you can create to really make it happen and make it stick. So now you've taught your franchisees, okay, this is how to create your brand in your area and how to make it work. What do you guys coach on localizing? Because obviously you've got this great brand, you've got the promise, you've got the systems. Now it comes down to, Tint World of Omaha, Tint World of Bangor. How do you coach them or what's your advice on making sure that they have a local impact when it comes to getting out in their community and not just relying on, the national advertising fund?
Well, you know what? We do have a national advertising fund, and only a small portion of their collective fund is really focused on that. I really feel that the majority of every franchise owner's money that they contribute should be focused on driving customers to their stores, to their phone, to their stores for service. And the reason for this is that it's their money. I want to do a way better job than you can ever do on your own. And so a lot of digital is really good with that, whether it's social media, digital, press releases, blogs, news things, and then community events that we do. We just hired on a national person that's going to be going around and setting up car clubs and programs for all the stores. So we're actually making a standardized event planning person that's going to
Oh,
be going in
wow.
and doing that because, it's like, if you're going to get into this business, you're going to have the people, the car culture, that they're going to want to do these things. That's a big segment. Now, I've always been the one who's, like you said, focusing on the marketing to the families, where they just feel comfortable with our kinds of services. That's really been growing pretty well. But now it's like, what about the niche? How do we get to them? And so it really is good to go out and build that car culture program. And so that's another way that we're doing it. We have really big grand openings in our stores. And we have two videographers I have one in house that's doing all the videos of all the B-roll shots and everything that we have going. And they have one video that's going to all the grand openings that we do all over the country. And so we always have multiple videos for 2 or 3 days that we're there with them during that grand opening period to see their store when it was brand new, see the crowds come, what they're offering, what they're doing, really wake up the neighborhood of what is happening in here. What could we do for you? So a lot of that, we kickstart them open when we do that right away. And then that just lets them see what they really should be doing. How do we help them get better? So we really do the heavy lifting on the digital marketing and video and imaging and branding. And then we give them all those assets and we're there for them. Like, just tell us what you want. We'll make it. You want direct mail? You want something local? You want ads for a local event? We have a lot to offer to them. They just got to let us know what they want, and we give them a good example of it during their first maybe year of opening, of everything we try to get them to do. And we just continually get better. We're actually growing more and more people in house. Now that we're getting bigger, we actually just bought a new property that we're building, a brand new 14,000 square foot facility that we're going to be moving into about a year from now. And we're all excited about that because, we've been in this 4,000 square foot that we're kind of barely fitting in. I'm like scared to hire more people, not because we can't, because I'm going to have how many more people am I going to put in my office? Everybody's office is now crowded, and half the offices don't have windows, and the other ones do. So I told everybody's getting a window in the new office. We're going to have windows all the way around. We're going to have elevators on the second floor roof. We're going to have like tiki bars and,
Oh,
and good fun
goodness.
to do. So they'll feel really good about coming to work because, we are a big family and we enjoy events together. We enjoy working together. And my job is to make sure that everybody's growing in their own spirit. This is within our franchise headquarters. I don't typically hire the person who's a corporate person that may have some amazing skills. I would if they have the heart and soul of understanding that they're going to be helping their peers and most importantly, helping their franchisees grow. That's our measure of success. You can do anything you want as long as it's actually helping the franchisees grow for success. If you're doing that, we're going to have an easy life. If they're having turbulence, we're having turbulence. So there ain't it's double reason to make sure that we're doing a really good job. I'm a franchisee my whole life. So it's like every quarter, it's like, what have they done for me lately? No matter what you do, it's like, what have they done? So I'm like really big on what am I going to do every quarter because I want to be relevant to them.
Sure.
And I really want to be transparent because not because I just have to be transparent because I really want them to appreciate the lead cost, the conversion cost, the amount of work we put in, the design stuff. Everything that we do, I want them to appreciate it because if they do, they'll acknowledge that we got this. We got this. You just take care of your customers, take care of your people. And we have the vendor relationships, we have the marketing relationships, we have the business training relationships, things that I always wanted in my prior franchise. They did a lot of good things. And some of the things that as a franchisee, you always think, well, if they did this, if they did. I put my money where my mouth is. And I said, I'm doing these things. And you know what? It's really working really good by having a good transparent lead generation program where they can see a dashboard, what's coming in real time every day, what the leads are, going into their point of sale, into their CRM, matching it up to what that return on investment for those leads were. When they see that, like the relationship gets a lot stronger. And I get to be proud of my team that we're delivering this to them, because even if we were doing a good job and they didn't have that transparency, you always, as a franchisee, you always think like, well, like I'm sort of doing good. I think they're doing good. Maybe they are. But when you see it through your own eyes and it's transparent, it's like nothing they can say but appreciate it, because they see what we're doing and how hard we're working with new programs. I really want a sustainable brand. I want to build this thing. I'm always thinking 3 to 5 years out to fill in the programs that we need to put together to always be relevant and the most relevant on the marketplace.
That's incredible, and I feel like we're cut from the same cloth. I mean, you had me at tiki bar, but, the fact that, I don't care if you're corporate, I don't care if, whatever, just come in, be good people, do a good job, and, let's keep pushing forward, I think is such an essence of franchising. And I know we're coming up on time, but I have a couple more questions. One being, I know a lot of emerging brands are gonna listen to this and go, "This is what I wanna be. I don't have the money to start doing some of that now." So what is your advice for people who maybe have a smaller budget, they're just starting out? How do they get or start to get to, where you are now?
It's definitely a mindset that they have to have, because again, when I started franchising, I didn't really need any money.
Mm.
I've already built my career. I've already cashed out on more than half of the locations I built, and I had money coming in. It was pretty well automated, my brands. When I did sell the last, franchises that I had the income coming in from real estate. So to me, it was never a matter of how much money am I going to make in this thing. That the money that you could make is a scorecard. And to me, everything that I had, I just kept pushing back into how do I make it bigger? How do I make it better? How do I grow it sustainably? What would I want as a franchisee? It was just a jigsaw puzzle to put together. And how do I make this the best unit of a puzzle? And when that got to where I felt it was good, that's when I felt I'm ready to scale. And it's just only been in the last year or year and a half that I've been really doing this, maybe 2 years, because now I know we can handle it. We can handle opening up 100 stores a year. It doesn't matter whether it's 10 or 100, because our staff is well trained and we have systems in place to really now produce them. I call it like the Ford assembly line: the body, the chassis, the wheels, the engine, the tweaking, and it's off to the races. And that's kind of what it is. And we do that pretty quickly. 3 to 6 months, they're profitable and they're making money. And, store sales growth has gone up between 40,000 to 132,000 every single year since I started franchising collectively. That's the average store sales. Last year being $132,000 same store sales increase. The average store now is doing $895,000 with a $262,000 net EBITDA. So it's before any loans or anything they might have elsewhere, but just on the basic four-wall EBITDA, they're doing really well. And then our top 50% average is doing just under about 1,199 gross average sales with 400,000 net EBITDA. That's the average of the top 50. So, and my goal is to have by the time we get to the 300 stores, I want average sales of $1 million. And we already have a $3 million sale, 3.7 million one store did last year. So our system is really growing. It's just how fast the franchisees can leverage all the pieces that we have. So I'm really excited about what we're doing. And that's really why I do it. I mean, I do it for the excitement of how do I, hit these milestones every year and then recap them, and all the work we grind all year, new systems, new programs. What does it deliver in the end of the year? It delivers results for the franchisees and in turn for us and our company.
Amazing. And, for the other franchisors out there, you know, making sure and doing a gut check on your intentions. Obviously, some people motivators are going to be a little different, but again, to your point of you got to be willing to invest in your franchise as a franchisor. It can't just be about the paycheck you're getting, because if that's the case, then being a franchisor is probably not right for you, because franchising is all about helping others, giving back, and growing together. Okay, two final questions, and then I'll let you go. I'm sure you have lots of things to do. You got to get people their windows, you got to get people their franchises. So, how would you define success as a franchisor? And does that differ from how you would define success as a franchisee?
That's a good question. I would say it's a little bit different because every franchisee is different. They all want something. You have a single store operator that wants just one store and they want to love their dream and grow it and grow their people. And then you have people that want to open up 5 or 10 or 20 of these, and they really want to run it more like almost like a corporate entity. And either way, it works because I built it for that. But I think a franchisor really has to be focused on the franchisee more so than the franchisor. I can't I can never be, I never look at what the money that we're making, not nearly what I should be. I always look at the results of what franchisees are doing. And I already know before I even look at the numbers that we're going to be doing way better as far as our growth and how we're growing. So, and I tell this to my franchisees, it's really hard because when they come into training, which I have about 18 franchisees in the back of our training center right now, when they're training in the last couple of days, when I start talking about their culture and their staffing and how to treat their people, I always tell them it's not about how much they're doing for you. It's how much they're doing for themselves. So, like, I don't want to say, well, you're here this long, my employee, and you're not producing this for me, and you're not doing that for me, and I'm not making any money on you. It's not a matter of that. It's like I go to them and say, listen, we have a base pay and commission program. We have all these benefits for you to grow within. You can grow up into one or more positions, grow into another store as a manager, whatever you want. You can grow into a partner one day. But the idea is like, I know you can't be happy with what you're making. So if it's not working for you, it's not going to work for me. It's always about how much they're making as a collective piece of the puzzle. Because if every piece of that puzzle is working good on their side, it automatically usually works on my side. There's very little that I'm not going to do well with. So again, if you take that mindset, is how do you help every little person to be a big person and every little franchise to become a big franchise? And then when they're there and they're at the top of that mountain, how do you climb the next mountain to get your next adventure? Because if you don't have another thing for them to grow to, then what is there? Really, we all want to grow some way and feel like we're significant in our own growth. And I only learned that myself. I learned that myself as I grew. It's like you're never satisfied. When I get here, I'm going to be happy. When I get here, happy is the journey. And if you could just keep on growing, you're always going to have your journey. And turbulent times for a franchisee is turbulent times for us. So I don't ever want to have that. I want to have them heart, minds, and souls and pockets filled with joy.
I love that. And finally, what's one piece of advice you would give to franchisor teams? And what's one piece of advice you would give to franchisees?
The piece, it's similar to the same, but the franchisees in the ZOR team hire the people that you like and that you trust and that can do a good job. Because if you like them and trust them and they can do a good job, your franchisees are going to love them too. Okay, because pretty much they're going to like what you like. That rolls over to franchisees. With franchisees, I would really just like to let them know that you really have to build your team and your team will build your business. So you build a good culture, a good program, full benefits. I have some franchisees earlier on would come in and say, well, I'm just going to pay the minimum to get people in. And then when I start making money, you're not going to start making money till you get the right people and grow. You could be there for a year and trying it your way, or I could just take another owner, go in there, hire a new team, and the place doubles in sales. It's the way you operate the business that gets you to be successful. It's not operating at the minimum, because some people come into franchise and they don't have any mindset to pay anybody. They've been paid their whole life, and we do really well. Also, I really had to understand that from people that come in from the vet friend program. So veterans come in and they have a discount program, but to me it's a workshop as well, because a lot of these people have been in the military. They never paid their own house bills. They never paid anything. They never paid for any travel. All this is part of their food, their travel. Maybe they buy beer on the weekends or something at the 7-Eleven. They don't really have expenses. So how do you expect them to go in and start paying people with their money before they're even starting to make money? So I understand it's a mind shift. So I really have to talk to them and let them know, and let them always play the long game. Don't play the finite short-term game. Think of the big picture and plan for success along the way. Well, how are you going to get there? And we have a really good system that lets them know. And we also have groups that we kind of mentor with. So when they come in, depending on the stage that they're in, what they need, we can make sure we're focused on those things. And we have a 5-star quarterly review that we do that gives a benchmark to all franchisees. So when we talk to franchisees, I don't want it to be subjective, what I think or we think that should be right or wrong. Here's what the numbers say, and here's where you align with every franchise in the chain. So let's just fix 5 things every quarter that we can improve to make you the best you can be. And by doing those 5 things, no more than 5 every quarter, you're going to continuously grow and achieve growth, because you're not focused all over the place. Stay focused on what you do and focused on what those 5 next things that you have to do for the quarter to grow. So some of the things I can do to help them, sure, there's a lot more specifics, but it's really a mindset to grow the long game. Don't look at it for what's the people that have the mindset for the longer periods are the ones that grow the biggest.
That is amazing. And I feel like a great way to end our episode here is, whether it's creating your fran dev, being a franchisee, being a franchisor, it's all about your mindset and ensuring that you're working with the right people and you're playing for the long game of success, no matter whether you're building a program, building a brand, or simply looking to build your store. Charles, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, you don't need another career, but you could certainly be a motivational speaker, a business coach. I'm sure we'll see you all over. If you guys want to learn more, visit Charles and at any of his Tint World locations, tintworld.com, or connect with Charles on LinkedIn. That's how we synced. And I'm certainly sure I will be seeing you around, and I can't wait to see what else you've got rolled up your sleeve.
Thank you, Madeline. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Franchise Marketing. This show is brought to you by Netsertive. We help franchise brands and multi-location businesses run localized digital marketing at scale. To learn more, visit netsertive.com.